Om Ramakrishna Sharanam. Dear devotees, as you all know that today is an auspicious day for most of us because being the Guru Purnima. Purnima means we all know that it's a full moon day. Every month we get one full moon day. But this particular full moon day or Purnima, which is called in Sanskrit, why it is so important? Because it is a day, Thanksgiving day for our gurus, for our teachers. Who is a guru? There are a lot of definitions. According to the one standard definition from Guru Gita, who is guru? They explain one who helps us to remove or destroy the ignorance. Ignorance about oneself here, especially. We can take any mundane subjects also, but here especially from the scriptures point of view, ignorance about oneself or ignorance about the Supreme, ignorance about the God or ignorance about the Atman or Brahman or consciousness. He is the person who helps us, who guides us, who blesses us to reach the ultimate reality, or other words, to experience the ultimate reality. So that is the Guru Purnima day. Actually, this is the birthday of also the great sage called Veda Vyasa. So today we are having Revered Swami Tattvamanji Maharaj, ministry in charge of Vedanta Society of Northern California, that is San Francisco. Swami Tattvamayanandaji is currently the minister and the spiritual director of the Vedanta Society of Northern California, which was started by Swami Vivekananda in 1900. Swamiji underwent rigorous training in our Hindu scriptures, Sanskrit, Vedas and Vedantic literature for many years, and from his early days. He served in various centers of the Ramakrishna Order in India as editor, publisher and the teacher of Sanskrit and Advaitic texts such as Shankaracharya's commentaries on the Prasthanatraya, that is the fundamental canons or the fundamental text of the Vedanta philosophy. And before coming to the United States in January 2012, he was teaching Sanskrit and Vedantic scriptures, Indian philosophy at the training center, Probationers Training Center, where it is the training center for the would-be monks of the Ramakrishna Order in Belur Much, our headquarters. Apart from his traditional education, the Swami has also received modern education in English literature, psychology, European history, and Western philosophy. He is frequently invited by different universities, different reputed institutions to give lectures on yoga, Vedanta, and Hindu scriptures. And he also regularly participates in interfaith dialogues. And probably, which is very interesting, or it can be interesting, some of the devotees know already that he was my acharya in our training center. When I was in training center in the Belur Much, he was my acharya, he was my teacher, who beautifully taught the Prasthanatraya, the Shankara's commentary on Prasthanatraya, the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra for us. So from last more than 15-20 years I know Maharaj very personally, and at least it is my feeling and experience that he is one of the best monks with respect to our traditional Vedantic scriptures, if you want to know. And at the same time he is one of the very interesting and unique person who beautifully he translates the Sanskrit verses and Sanskrit commentary in the English language. Translating the Sanskrit into the Indian vernacular languages may not be very difficult, may not be very challenging, but translating them and making people to understand in the English language is quite challenging. And I was really amazed to see that Revered Maharaj's capacity in translating into the Sanskrit text or the Sanskrit commentaries in English, and which was quite inspirable. On behalf of Ramakrishna Vedanta Center and assembled devotees, I reverentially welcome Maharaj for this august gathering. And also I welcome all the devotees for this August gathering. Thank you. I know it is a very hot summer. This time we are having a hot summer. We are all feeling heat. I feel that this Vedantic knowledge will bring some solace for our mind so that we feel cool. Thank you.
Om Yonda Pravisya Mama Vachimimam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Akhila Shakti Dharasradhamna Anyamscha Hasta Charana Sravanattvagadi Pranam Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubbhyo Sthapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharmasya Rupini Avatar Vanisthaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha Siddhasiva Samadambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padvindam Vande Guru Paranparam. Devotees, friends, and especially Swami Éire Vedanta ji, who invited me to visit this place. I was actually originally going to Europe, to Spain and France and some other programs. And it's a great joy to be here to see this unique place associated with one of the greatest disciples of Swami Vivekananda. So we'll say just a few things about the Guru tradition. Now, if you read Swami Vivekananda's life, his big works, you will come across one very striking statement. When Swamiji returned to India in 1897, after teaching Vedanta for about 4 years in the United States, he came to Colombo, which is part of the Indian subcontinent, British Empire at the time. Swamiji makes a very interesting statement. If Manu returned to India today, he won't be bewildered. He won't find himself in a strange land. This statement. Now, Manu is an ancient lawgiver who might have lived maybe in the 3rd millennium BC. And Swamiji says, if Manu ever happens to return to India in 1897, he would find the same ancient Vedic culture flourishing in India. It's something very interesting. Can you think of any other civilizations in the world? Assyrian, Babylonian, Greco-Roman, Chinese, Aztec, Mayan, Incan? No. You can't ever think of any other civilization which continues to flourish today in India. Of course, I'm talking in the context of India, which in a bigger sense, in a higher sense, it applies the entire world today. Because the barriers of geographical, racial divide have almost disappeared. So Swamiji says this. The same ancient culture, Vedic culture that existed in India thousands of years ago, continues to exist in 1897. If you have any doubt about it, at least I have no doubt because I am coming from Silicon Valley. There are so many temples. If you go to America, the Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, you find people constructing temples following the same scriptures which outline the structure of temple architecture. The same artisans who constructed ancient temples in ancient India, including Angkor Wat. You have heard this. I visited Angkor Wat this year, going back to 7th century AD, or even more ancient temples in India. The same architectural style. They see music, whether Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam, any music, dance forms, everything you can see continues. It continues to flourish in India. This is something that no other civilization can ever think of or boast of. Egyptian civilization, nobody knows how they built those pyramids. Nobody knows. The technology is vanished. Nobody knows the exact architectural engineering that they employed when constructing Roman highways. Many of those technologies still remain unknown. But recently, the Swaminarayan Mandir was constructed in New Jersey. I think $25 billion. Absolutely crazy. And these artisans came from India as volunteers. They were constructing this temple the way their ancestors must have constructed temples 3000 years ago. So, antiquity and continuity. There's a great statement in Arnold Toynbee, which again actually is echoed in the different way Durant. Antiquity and continuity. It means something that is very ancient and is continuity. These two aspects can be claimed only by what he calls Indic civilization. Very ancient, but continues to flourish to our times. Now, this was made possible by a unique mechanism of spiritual teachers, incarnations, acharyas, guru parampara, who guaranteed the survival of these ancient values. They brought it from ancient past, they practiced, and they transmitted to the next generation, and this succession continued. Just now I quoted one verse, Sadasiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Padyantam Vande Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara, Parampara means succession. It's almost like a light. Suppose you want to light, you have to light one lamp from another lamp. The wick and the flame should come together. If there is 1 millimeter gap, the light will not be transmitted from one lamp to another lamp. So this Guru Parampara, Guru, Sishya, Pratyishya Parampara, teachers, their students and their students, this is a unique spiritual mechanism that ensured the continuity and antiquity of our tradition. Now, Swami Vivekananda, in one of his lectures, when the sages of India, you find him tracing the origin of Indian culture, this Guru Parampara, so to speak. It comes from ancient Vedic times, Rama, Krishna, then Buddha, then Shankaracharya. In modern times, Swamiji comes with Sri Ramakrishna. That up to Sri Ramakrishna, Swamiji gives a graphic description of the evolution and progress of Indian spiritual culture. It is called Guru Parampara. This Guru Parampara is something sacred, something that something that enriches our culture and tradition. And one important aspect of this Guru Parampara is, according to Swami Vivekananda, called Shraddha. Shraddha means you look upon something with a sense of sanctity and sacredness. That is Shraddha. Shraddha to astika buddhi, that is Shankaracharya definition. What it means is, when you do something with a sense of sanctity, it is sacred, and with a sense of total identification, it is called Shraddha. This Shraddha was the real important spiritual principle that ensured this succession of Guru Parampara. This is one aspect. That means this transmission of light from one lamp to another lamp. That is, that ancient spiritual culture is transmitted by teacher to his teacher and by him to his next teacher. Then there is another aspect of Guru Parampara that is very important. One of the most well-known Upanishads, it comes in Shukla Yajurveda, in Brihadaranyaka. Sorry, Chandogya, Samaveda, sorry, it's from Samaveda, Chandogya Upanishad. It's a Samavediya Upanishad. The 6th chapter, it deals with Tattvamasi Mahavakya Vichara. A student, and also he is a son, Swetaketu is asking a question to Uddalaka about some great spiritual teaching. I am not discussing that right now, it's part of academic discussion, not now. But there is something very interesting. There is an interesting illustration, a kind of parable there. 14th Khanda, you can look at it, Chandogya Upanishad, 6th chapter. It has got 16 sections called Khanda. The 14th section deals with the practical aspect of Guru Parampara, what it does to human civilization, and how it helps a spiritual seeker in his spiritual pursuit. It's called Gandhara Purusha Vishtana. the illustration of a person who belongs to Gandhara Desha. Gandhara roughly corresponds to today's Kandahar, not entirely, because according to modern historians, Kandahar is not Gandhara, it was the capital of ancient Gandhara kingdom. Today, the Gandhara mentioned here is somewhere between the Afghan and Pakistan border. One pilgrim had come to India to learn the Vedas. You know, Afghanistan was a great center of a Vedic culture, Vedic civilization, the third, fourth, fifth millennium BC. So, a great spiritual teacher, a student, and a pilgrim had come to India, and after completing Vedic education, is going back to Afghanistan. That's the Gandhara. And on the way, he was ambushed by robbers, and he was dragged to the thick forest, was tied to a tree, blindfolded, and he was left there. All these possessions were taken away with the robbers, and the robbers went their way. After some time, what happened? He started crying and weeping. This is given a very interesting illustration in this 14th khanda of this Chandogya Upanishad. He started crying and weeping. So, listening to this sound coming from the thick forest, one compassionate traveler who used to go up and down, was a teacher, Vedic teacher, used to travel up and down from Gandhara Desha to India and back and forth. You know, there was close geographical cultural connection between the northeastern part of Indian subcontinent and Greece. Bactria was a small sentence came later in those days. So a great Sanskrit teacher was also traveling along the road from which this seeker, this spiritual pilgrim was ambushed and dragged to the thick forest. He heard this noise coming from the thick forest. So he went, he untied the ropes, saved him from there, brought him to the main road and told him, oh, you want to go back to your Gandhara country, that's your home. This is the road that you should take, you reach your home. Now, this is the story. This story is illustrated to show the greatness, the relevance of Guru Parampara. Who is the teacher here? The compassionate traveler who was traveling along the road, who happened to hear this noise coming from the thick forest. He comes to this poor man, he untied the rope, removed the cloth that is tied around his eyes, brought him to the main road and showed him this way you go. Like that, in our own spiritual life, we need a teacher. Nowadays you find, especially with the increase of popularity of YouTube and information technology, everyone has got to become a teacher. You can, yesterday I was mentioning to one of our devotees, you know, in America, there are dozens of YouTube videos that will charge you $500 to teach you how to raise a kundalini. Now, this is a very interesting thing, not a joke, it's a fact. The point is, a guru is a person who is not teaching you something, giving you information. Gu sabdastu andhakarasya, ru sabdastu nirodhaka, andhakara nirodhitvad guru iti avidiyate. Who is a guru? Gu stands for darkness, ignorance, lack of awareness, lack of common sense. And the second word, second letter, Lu, stands for something that removes darkness. So Guru is a person who doesn't just give you information, but gives you knowledge, and then he kindles a light in your heart. And that light begins to flicker, it begins to enlighten, it begins to spread light everywhere. So Guru actually teaches you something by removing ignorance and darkness, and then he kindles a light in our heart. That is the role of a Guru. And in this analogy, for example, look at the role of the teacher. Suppose that a spiritual seeker who was dragged into a thick forest and was tied to a tree and he never made a sound, the teacher, the traveler, will not come to know there is somebody suffering inside a thick forest. The pilgrim was ambushed, he had to make a lot of noise so that somebody will listen to his noise, and will come to rescue him. Like that, every spiritual seeker should make some effort. When you make an effort, you will get a guru. Otherwise, if suppose Sri Ramakrishna comes here, and if we are not meditating on Sri Ramakrishna, you may think he has come to listen to this lecture. But when our own mind is ready, when our own effort makes us grace-worthy, when we are able to recognize a great spiritual teacher as a great spiritual teacher, then what happens is the teacher's grace will dawn upon us, will be a blessing to us. So one important point in Guru tradition is the seeker, the Shishya, the student should himself become fit for Guru's grace. Is it grace worthiness? 50% of the effort should be taken by the student. Otherwise, what happens, even if your Guru teaches you, you won't pay much attention. Even in your own university education, for example. So if you are an eminent mathematician, physicist, or historian, you'll find that you have really enjoyed the teachings of your history teacher. Otherwise, you can never become a historian. You may have really respected your physics professor. Otherwise, you can never become a good physicist. Because the sanctity and sacredness with which we learn a subject, and the sanctity and sacredness with which we respect the teacher, whose teaching is what we want to learn, that is very important in the actual fulfillment of whatever we do. In the Gita, there is a statement, you should never teach a subject to anyone who has no respect for the teacher and also for the subject. This is very, very important. So whatever we learn, the effect of our learning depends upon the seriousness, the sense of sanctity and sacredness with which we approach the teacher and also with which we learn the subject. So that is why, in fact, there is an interesting, again, I want to give some illustrations because that will be more helpful in driving the point. I finished the talk at this time, 3 minutes. Another interesting illustration we find in Chandogya. This is a very interesting story. A small boy, he wanted to learn spiritual practices, meditation, Brahma Vidya. He goes to his teacher. The teacher finds the little boy, he has not learned enough, he has not gone up enough to understand the philosophy. But he is a very sincere person, very, very sincere person. Like the Latu Maharaj in the Sri Ramakrishna story. Latu Maharaj had not gone to Harvard or Oxford. But Latu Maharaj had an emotional system that closely identifies with whatever he learns, and with total Shraddha, he learned from Sri Ramakrishna whatever little instructions Sri Ramakrishna gave, and that made him Brahmajnani. So something like that you find in this illustration. Satyagama was a little boy who approached his teacher, Gautama. Gautama found a young boy who can't learn anything, but he's a very sincere boy. So what he did? He told him, all right, you take these 400 cows, take to forest, 400 battered, famished cows. Some of them are about to die, but anyway they can't eat grass and they cannot be any milk. So you take these 400 cows to the forest and live as long as is needed. You make sure that all these cows survive. So the little boy, Satyagama, he took all the 400 cows to the forest, forgot everything. His whole attention was focused on baiting the cows, feeding the cows. Morning he would take all the cows to the forest and make them grass. So they were well fed, they were well taken care of. In course of time, after maybe some years, the total number came to 1,000. He did not learn any philosophy from his teacher, and the teacher also didn't bother teaching him. But the student thought if he could really follow the instructions of the Guru with all sincerity, then his own mind will teach him. So this is what happened here. In course of time, after some time, one bull, one bird, and one another moving animal. So all these different creatures, one fire. So every day he used to do Agnyadhana, the sacrificial fire. And he used to take care of these bulls. And sometimes some birds, Hamsa used to come and move around. And Madhu bird. 4 creatures appeared before him, one after another. Each of them taught him something. One day he was performing this ritual. He had to prepare the fire for Homa sacrifice. Suddenly he heard a noise coming. He didn't know where it's from. He thought maybe the fire is speaking to him. Taught him one great spiritual lesson in Brahmavidya, spiritual knowledge. Like that, a bird came, a Hamsa came, and also one bull came. So what happened was, these animals did not come from anywhere. As he completely followed his teacher's instruction, Guru's instruction, with all sincerity, sacredness and Shraddha, what happens? His own mind began to evolve, and his own mind gave him these great lessons. Now, this you find even in modern science. Look at think of, I don't know whether actually an apple fell on Newton's head. But Newton had a different kind of mind. If normal people, even if a coconut falls on his head, he may break his head, skull, nothing will happen to him. But Newton's case, he was a man of complete concentration, focus. So what happened? He began to wonder, why did this apple fall on his head? Why this happened? And that made him a great physicist. So even in modern physics, in modern science, any kind of higher inquiry and investigation, all knowledge comes from within. But we have to prepare our mind for that. So when we prepare our mind, what happens is all obstacles are removed, and the truth self reveals itself. This is especially true in spiritual science. May not be entirely applicable to modern physical, empirical sciences, but in spiritual life, when we make our own preparation, when we practice certain spiritual values, our own mind slowly becomes non-mind, Amani Bhava in Vedic language, in yogic language. What happens? Our own mind becomes the all-pervading divine reality. So, Guru Purnima is a very sacred occasion, and as Swamiji was mentioning, Vyasa Purnima. Vyasa is the author of all the most important philosophical and spiritual canons of Hindu Vedantic tradition. Brahma Sutra belongs to Nyaya Prasthana, and Bhagavad Gita belongs to Smriti Prasthana, and Upanishad belongs to Smriti Prasthana. The triple foundations of Hindu Vedanta philosophy were codified and revealed by Vyasa, who is also the editor of the 4 Vedas. Remember, Vedas were initially Vedas just one single corpus. The word Vyasa-dhatu is a mean editing classified. So Vyasa got that name because he classified and edited the ancient Vedic corpus into 4 sections called Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharvaveda. So Vyasa is a great teacher, and in modern times, from Vyasa to Rama, Krishna, Shankara, Sri Ramakrishna, this Guru Parampara continues. Remember, Guru Parampara is like gold. The current teacher is like currency. So Sri Ramakrishna says, So you find in every age there's a new teacher coming. The teacher is not bringing a new truth. He is only bringing a new currency. Because if you go to market, you have to use the prevailing currency. You cannot carry a bulk of gold to market. You won't buy anything. It's like that. The parampara is the gold, and the gold itself becomes a transactional entity through Guru Param. This Guru Pada keeps alive the light of spiritual tradition, spiritual lineage, and spiritual heritage. So thank you. I'll just try to give a very brief world view of this very profound subject which requires several hours of discussion. So thank you so much. Namaste.
Maharaj was saying a beautiful thing. If the container is ready, or if the container is ready, or if the container is as big, so much water we can carry. Like all of us, we can go to Leafy River, but how much we can carry? How much big container we have got, or the better container we have got? I may have got a big container, but if it has got holes, then by the time we take the water and bring it to the house, then half of the water will be leaked. So the quality, I mean, the size of the container and also the quality of the container matters. That's what as disciple has to prepare his mind called container so that he can be a recipient of the divine grace or a God's grace. So a question can come for most of us. How do we know, or how can I know that I am the recipient of God's grace? Every one of us, we have got a different concepts or ideas. Or the broad canvas, generally we speak, we think of two things. When I am in difficulties, I go to the God, I approach God, and I pray to Him. If my problem is resolved, if my problem is solved, then God's grace is on me. That's one generally we all think. And the second is probably some divine vision or a divine experience. These are the two things where we think God's grace is there. Recently, 2 days before, for a lady, I pinged a message because often she used to send a WhatsApp message about my particular lecture. I like this, or I didn't understand a particular point, or I want more further commentary and more explanation on this particular point. Often she used to send the messages. Last 2 or 3 months, I didn't receive any message. And all of a sudden, 2 days before, suddenly when I was having my evening cup of tea or coffee, I remembered about her. And I started thinking, what happened last 2-3 months? I didn't receive any message from her. I hope and I wish she's okay. Then after coming to the room, then I messaged her. I hope everything is okay with you and you are doing well. In few hours, she sent a beautiful, very simple message. She said, Swamiji, I am the recipient of the grace of the Holy Trio. And she admires the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, that is Swami Brahmananda. So all these 4 people, Holy Trio and this Swami Brahmananda, she admires a lot. As a result, she said, I am the recipient of the divine grace from this holy channel, 4 people. What to bother? Nothing is bothering me in this world, Swamiji. I am happy. Anyhow, thanks for inquiry. Just in 2 sentences she had written. I was thinking, this is what is it not divine grace or Guru's grace? She's not complaining, she's not asking anything, she's feeling the contentment and peace in herself. I am the recipient of the divine grace and I am at the feet of the divine. What else I want? I am happy. Nothing to complain, nothing to question, nothing to ask for. This is one story which 2 days before happened, which really we can think of about the grace and how we can live. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks before, one more devotee or an aspirant, while conversing with me, he or she mentioned a beautiful point. Swamiji, nowadays, I've stopped asking with God, do not give problems. Or reduce my problems, I don't ask. And he said, oh, probably that means all your problems are resolved, isn't it? Then he or she said, Swamiji, you also know that in the world, from our birth to death, there is no time or there can be no time for anyone or anyone or other. Like there will be no problem. Every one of us will have different problems at different levels. For some it may be more, for some it may be less. Then I said, yes, it's a fact. Then why you are not asking God to resolve any problem? She said, I've changed my prayer now. What is the change in the prayer? She said, I've stopped asking God to resolve my problems or not to give problems. Rather, I'm asking God to give me strength to face and rise from these problems, and I can be peaceful and I can remember. What a beautiful attitude I thought. So she is not asking here, she is not asking for reduce the problems or resolve the problems. Rather, here she is asking to give the confidence, to give the strength, mental strength or emotional strength or intellectual strength to rise oneself and to resolve the problem, solve the problems or face the problems and rise. So this is the one more I was thinking, how we can think of whether divine grace is on us, or Guru's grace is on us, or Supreme's grace is on us. So probably these are the two instances which taught me to rethink about the God's grace and the divine grace, and how one can rethink or how can remodel one's attitude and perceptions about the life and about the God and about the Guru. So all these things beautifully, Swamiji giving two examples from Chandogya Upanishad. He explained how if you become all right, or if we container, our container called mind is ready, then we'll be the recipient of the divine grace of the Guru grace. I fervently pray to the Holy Trio, to all the saints and the prophets to bless us, so that we can be we make our instruments fit, and so that we can be the recipient of the divine grace. On behalf of Ramakrishna Vedanta Center and assembled devotees, I reverentially thank Swamiji for accepting our invitation and addressing us on this beautiful topic on this sacred day. Thank you, Swamiji.
ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पद आदश्रन्धन्नोदिवित्सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती दीनामविद्यवतो आनो दिवो प्रगता पर्वता सरस्वती हिजता गन्धु यज्ञं हवं देवी जुजुषालो मृडाति शक्मालो वाचमुषति शृणोतु। ॐ श्री महासरस्वत्यै नमः। गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे सर्वजीवनां। गुरुवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां विदये सर्वनित्यानां। ॐ दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सहस्रशीर्षं देवं विश्वाक्षं विश्वशम्भुवं विश्वं नारायणं देवमक्षरं परमं पदं विश्वतः परमान्नित्यं विश्वं नारायणं हरिं विश्वमेवेतं पुरुषं तद्विश्वमुपजीवति पतिं विश्वस्यात्मेश्वरं शाश्वतं शिवमच्युतं नारायणं महानित्यं विश्वात्मानं परायणं नारायण परो ज्योतिरात्मा नारायण परः नारायण परं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं नारायण परः नारायण परो ज्ञाता ज्ञानं नारायण परः यच्च किञ्चित् जगत् सर्वं दृश्यते श्रूयते विवा अन्तर्बहिश्च तत्सर्वं व्याप्य नारायणस्थितः अनन्तमव्ययं कविगुं समुद्धेन्तं विश्वशम्भुवं पद्मघोषप्रदीकाशकं हृदयं चाप्यधोमुखम् अतो निष्ट्यापितस्यां ते नाभ्यामुपरि तिष्ठति ज्वालमालाकुलं भावी विश्वस्यायतनं महत् सन्ददतुं शिलाभिस्तु लम्बत्याघोषसन्निभम् तस्यान्ते सुशिरकुं सूक्ष्मं तस्मिन् सर्वं प्रतिष्ठितं तस्य मध्ये महानघ्निर्विश्वाच्यर्विश्वतोमुखः सोऽप्रभुविभजन् तिष्ठन्नारः रमचरकविः दीर्घभूतमतश्चाही रश्मयस्तस्य सन्दधा सन्धापयति स्वं देहमपादतलमस्तगः तस्य मध्ये भन्निशिखा अनीयोर्वा व्यवस्थितः नीलतो यदमध्यस्ताद्विद्युल्लेखे वभास्वरा नीवारशूकबद्धन्ती वीतापावत्यरूपमः तस्याः शिखाया मध्ये परमात्मा व्यवस्थितः स ब्रह्म स शिव स हरिस्सेन्द्रः सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट् हृदयं सत्यं परब्रह्मपुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः ॐ नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात् ॐ योपां पुष्पं वेद पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुवान् भवति चन्द्रमा वा अपां पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति अग्निर्वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति योऽग्निरायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वा अग्निरायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति वायुर्वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो वायोरायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै वायोरायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति असौ वै तमन्नवामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो मुष्यतपद आयतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वा अमुष्यतपद आयतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति चन्द्रमा वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यश्चन्द्रमस आयतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै चन्द्रमस आयतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति नक्षत्राणि वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो नक्षत्राणामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै नक्षत्राणामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति पर्जन्यो वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यः पर्जन्यस्यायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै पर्जन्यस्यायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति संवत्सरो वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यः संवत्सरस्यायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै संवत्सरस्यायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योऽप्सुनावं प्रतिष्ठितां वेद प्रत्येव तिष्ठति ॐ राजाधिराजाय प्रसह्य साहिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय गुर्महे समेघामाङ्ग महामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सर्वेन्द्रियाणि ॐ आं ह्रीं क्रों यं ग्रं लं वं शं शं सं ॐ हं सः श्रीरामकृष्णदेवतायाः वाङ्मनश्चक्षुर्पटुश्रोत्रघ्राणप्राणय्यागतस्पन्त्यं तिष्ठं स्वाहा
Namaste everyone. My name is Krishna Kumar. Happy Guru Purnima to everyone. I would like to thank Éire Vedanta Society for giving me this opportunity to sing today. I will start with Chandra Chuda Shri Shankara Parvati in Ragam Darbari Kannada, composed by Shri Purandara Dasa, second Aditara. चंद्रचूड शिव शंकर पार्वती रमण निनगे नमो चंद्रचूड शिव शंकर पार्वती रमण निनगे नमो सुंदर मृगधर पिनाकधनुकर सुंदर मृगधर पिनाकधनुकर सुंदर मृगधर पिनाकधनुकर गंगाधर गज चर्मांबरधर गंगाधर गज चर्मांबरधर गंगाधर गज चर्मांबरधर शिव शंकर पार्वती रमण निनगे
ರುದ್ರಾಕ್ಷಿದ ಧರಿಸಿದ ಪರಮ ವೈಷ್ಣವನು ನೀನೇ. ಗರುಡ ಗಮನ ನಮ್ಮ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನ, ಗರುಡ ಗಮನ ನಮ್ಮ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನ, ಪ್ರಾಣ ಪ್ರಿಯನು ನೀನೇ. ಚಂದ್ರಚೂಡ ಶಿವಶಂಕರ ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ರಮಣ ನಿನಗೆ ನಮೋ ನಮೋ. ಸುಂದರ ಮೃಗಧರ ಪಿನಾಕತನುಕರ, ಸುಂದರ ಮೃಗಧರ ಪಿನಾಕತನುಕರ, ಗಂಗಾಧರ ಗಜ ಚರ್ಮಾಂಬರಧರ, ಗಂಗಾಧರ ಗಜ ಚರ್ಮಾಂಬರಧರ, ಗಂಗಾಧರ ಗಜ ಚರ್ಮಾಂಬರಧರ. ಚಂದ್ರಚೂಡ ಶಿವಶಂಕರ ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ರಮಣ ನಿನಗೆ
Next, I will be singing Sri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari. It is a Ragamaliga. A Ragamaliga means in the song will consist of more than one ragam. Ragam means basically the scale of the song. So Ragamaliga means in this song there will be 4 different ragams. So sorry? First ragam is Tenjiruti, second ragam is Punnagavaradi, third one is Nadanama Kriya, and the last one is Sindhu Vai.
Shri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari, Shri Lalita Ambike. Shri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari, Shri Lalita Ambike. Bhuvaneshwari Agama Veda Karamaya Rupini, Agama Veda Karamaya Rupini, Akila Chara Chara Janani Narayani, Nagakunkana Nataraja Manohari, Nagakunkana Nataraja Manohari, Jnana Vidyeshwari Raja Rajeshwari, Jnana Vidyeshwari Raja Rajeshwari, Shri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari, Shri Lalita Ambike. பலவிதமாயுன்னை பாடவும் ஆடவும், பலவிதமாயுன்னை பாடவும் பாடவும் பாடிக்கொண்டாடும் அன்பர் பதமலர் சூடவும் பலவிதமாய் உன்னை பாடவும் ஆடவும் பாடிக்கொண்டாடும் அன்பர் பதமலர் சூடவும் உலகம் முழுதும் எந்தகமுற காணவும் உலகம் முழுதும் எந்தகமுற காணவும் ஒரு நிலை தருவாய் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி ஒரு நிலை தருவாய் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्री ललिता अंबिके உழன்றே திரிந்து என்னை உத்தமனாகி வைத்தாய் உழன்றே திரிந்து என்னை உத்தமனாகி வைத்தாய் உழன்றே திரிந்து என்னை உத்தமனாகி வைத்தாய் உயரிய பெரியோருடன் ஒன்றிட கூட செய்தாய் உழன்றே திரிந்து என்னை உத்தமனாகி வைத்தாய் உயரிய பெரியோருடன் ஒன்றிட கூட செய்தாய் நிழலென தொடர்ந்த முள்னா கொடுமையை நீங்கு செய்தாய் நிழலென தொடர்ந்த முள்னா மையை நீங்கு செய்தாய் நித்ய கல்யாணி भवानी पद्मेश्वरी नित्य कल्याणी भवानी पद्मेश्वरी श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्री ललिता अंबिके துன்பப்புடத்திலிட்டு தூயவனாகி வைத்தாய் துன்பப்புடத்திலிட்டு தூயவனாகி வைத்தாய் தொடர்ந்த உன்னாயம் நீக்கி பிறந்து பயனை தந்தாய் அன்பை புகழ்த்தி உந்தன் ஆடலை காண செய்தாய் அடைக்கலம் நீயே அம்மா அடைக்கலம் நீயே அம்மா அடைக்கலம் நீயே அம்மா அகிலாண்டேஸ்வரி அடைக்கலம் நீயே அம்மா அகிலாண்டேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्री ललिता अंबिके भुवनेश्वरी आगम वेद कला मयरूपिणी अखिल चराचर जननी नारायणी नागकण्गण नटराज मनोहरी ज्ञानविद्येश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्री ललिता अंबिके
will spend next few minutes reading a few pages from this book, Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yakishwarananda. My pranams to the Holy Trio and also Swami Tattvananda, Swami Purnima and Swami Shanti Vedanta. And namaste once again to all of you. I am going to read from the chapter 8. The chapter is called The Guru and Spiritual Guidance. The first section, Need for Training in Spiritual Life, and it begins with a nice example. A disciple of the great Chinese mystic philosopher Lao Tzu narrates the following story. A young man joined the gang of a robber chief. The robber chief named Chi. One day, his young apprentice asked his leader, "Dear leader, can the Tao be found in thieving?" Now, Tao means the right way or doing things in the right way. There is a law. Can the Tao be found in thieving? And she replied, "Pray tell me of anything in which there is no Tao, there is no law or no right way. In thieving, there is the wisdom by which the booty is located, there is the courage of going in first, there is the heroism of coming out last, there is the insight of calculating the chances of success, and finally, there is a justice in dividing the spoils equitably among the robbers. There never was a successful thief who did not possess these 5 qualities." So these are, and there are principles to be learned in every activity of life, even in thieving. An apprentice in any profession needs training. This is all the more true for spiritual life. The disciple of Lao Tzu continues, "The doctrine of the wise is equally indispensable to the good man and to the robber. Since good men are few and bad men are in the majority, the good the sages do in the world is little and the evil done by the rest is great. In the course of my travels in the West, I have been amazed at the amount of energy which is constantly expended on destructive activities. How many soldiers, pilots, technicians, and even scientists are being trained for war? Why can't even a fraction of the same time and energy be used for training in the spirit, in making ourselves be receptive to divine illumination, bliss and peace? The ideal which the great sages of the Upanishads place before us as the goal of life is self-realization. But this ideal cannot be realized without spiritual awakening. However, in the religious field, we see too much of ritual and ceremonial and too little of true spiritual awakening. Real religion, which is self-realization, has for this reason become discredited. And there is now an overabundance of religious pretenders who claim supernatural powers and promise easy passports to heaven, while parasites unwilling to strive for moral purity want to attain salvation easily. The highest goal can be shown only by a person who has attended it or by one who has at least gone very near it. Regarding the importance of the right guidance in spiritual life, the Upanishads declare, "Many do not hear about self. Many others, though they hear about self, do not understand it. Wonderful is who speaks of it. Wonderful is he who earns of it, he who learns of it. Blessed is he who is taught by a good teacher and is able to realize it." The truth of the self cannot be fully understood when taught by an inferior person, for there are different opinions regarding it. Subtler than the subtlest is the self, beyond all logic. When taught by a teacher who has realized himself as one with Brahman, a person attains the goal and becomes free from transmigration. Let a man devoted to spiritual life examine carefully the ephemeral nature of heavenly enjoyment. To know the eternal, let him humbly approach a guru established in Brahman and well versed in the scriptures. To a disciple who approaches reverently, who is tranquil and self-controlled, the wise teacher gives that knowledge faithfully and without stunt, by which is known the truly existing changeless self. The next section is called Function of the Guru. What does self-realization mean? It means the union of the individual spirit with the Supreme Spirit. after passing through various experiences and sufferings in life, the individual soul draws closer to the oversoul and finally realizes its oneness with it. The Upanishad gives a picturesque description of this process. Two birds of golden plumage, inseparable companions, are perched on the branches of the same tree. One of them tastes the sweet and bitter fruits of the tree. The other, tasting neither, calmly observes. The individual self, deluded by forgetfulness of its real divine nature, gets involved in worldly life and suffers. But when it recognizes the worshipful Lord as its own true self and beholds His glory, it becomes liberated from sorrow. We have forgotten our true divine essence. So, instead of moving closer to God, we get drowned in worldly existence more and more. Somebody must remind us of our real nature. He who does this is the guru or spiritual teacher. The function of the teacher is to awaken the disciple from his age-long sleep and show him the way to the divine. The guru is not like that priest who stands between man and the God. The word guru etymologically means a spiritual guide who removes darkness and brings light. He helps us to dehypnotize ourselves by removing the false notions we have been entertaining about ourselves. In one of his parables, Sri Ramakrishna speaks of a tiger sheep. Once a tigress attacked a flock of sheep, but as the shepherd resisted the tigress fell on her side, gave birth to a cub and died. The shepherd took pity on the motherless little creature and raised it along with his flock of sheep. The little tiger drank sheep's milk and learned to bleat and eat grass like sheep. Years later, another tiger attacked the same flock and was astonished to see a tiger behaving like a sheep. He caught hold of the tiger sheep, dragged him to a pool, and forced him to look at his reflection in the water. Then the old tiger put a piece of meat into the mouth of the young tiger sheep and told him that he was not a sheep but a real tiger. Thereupon, the tiger sheep gave up his sheep consciousness and regained his real tiger consciousness. Swami Brahmananda used to liken the teacher to a king's minister. A poor man requests the minister to grant him an audience with the king, who lives in a palace with 7 gates. The minister grants his request and leads him to the gates one after the other. At each gate there stands a richly dressed officer, and each time the poor man asks the minister, "Is that the king?" The minister answers no. Each time he answers no, until they have passed the 7th gate and have come to the presence of the king, seated there in all his regal splendor. Then the poor man does not even ask any more questions. What he needed was somebody who could guide him through the gates and corridors of the palace. So is it with the Guru, says Swami Brahmananda. Like the king's minister, he leads the disciple through the different stages of spiritual unfoldment until he leaves him with the Lord. The human personality is like a big palace with buildings and courtyards, one within another. The Supreme Spirit comes to us in the form of a teacher, making us realize that we are not the physical body, not the mind, not the feelings, not the ideas, and neither the emotions, but we are the spirit eternal. When we travel to an unknown country, it is wise to have a guide who knows the way. The Guru is that guide who leads us to our destination and leads us there. Now the last section, need for a Guru. Back in India, we take the necessity of a Guru for granted in spiritual life. When I first went to Europe, I was surprised to hear some religious groups saying that they could commune with the God, hear the voice of God, get directions about spiritual life without any special training. I studied a few cases and found, as I had expected, that these people were hearing their own voices, which sometimes were good. God and the divine voice are far off from an impure soul. A well-trained, pure-hearted person can certainly commune with God. The indwelling spirit, but when impure, are untrained, and untrained individuals make the same claim, they only deceive themselves. And yet they say they need no outside help. My teacher Swami Brahmananda used to say, One requires a teacher even if one wants to learn stealing. And this sublime Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman, does it not require a teacher to acquire it? There is no mystery in this. People go to Madame Curie to study the properties of radium. They go to Rutherford to learn about the nature of the atom. As in natural science, the guidance of a competent teacher is necessary. So in spiritual science, the guidance of a guru is absolutely necessary to learn the technique of realizing the self. Here we are traveling into regions of which we know nothing. Those who do not feel the need of any teacher, who are over anxious to be teachers of others, should remember that the blind should not try to lead the blind. Hindu scriptures repeatedly stress the importance of the guru. Take for instance the Bhagavad Gita. In it, Krishna at first simply takes Arjuna to the battlefield without giving him any spiritual instruction. Then when Arjuna pleads with him, overpowered by grief, my mind is confused regarding the right path. I supplicate you as your disciple, instruct me who have taken refuge in you. It is only then when Arjuna accepts Krishna as the Guru does the divine teacher begin his teaching. In Samskara's crest jewel of discrimination, we find the disciple appealing to his teacher, O Master, I have fallen into the sea of birth and death. Save me from this misery. Namaste. Thank you.
We'll be singing the Guru Stotram now. The lyrics are posted in the chat, the Guru Purnima chat. You can all join it, please.
Éire
devotees, as usual, we are at the end of the program now. So we'll be giving Pushpanjali flowers. So first they will be sprinkling the water. Wash your hands. Don't drink it as like kirtan. So wash your hands. Then the flower will be given. Just hold on. Then we will tell the mantram. I think many of you know that some are newcomers. So I'm telling you this. Pushpanjali is, Pushpa means flowers. Anjali means hands. So from both the hands we are offering the flowers at the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is when there is a community worship. Usually every one of us we cannot worship. So this is a shortcut method only during community worship. It is not daily worship, of course, in the house. So we'll be uttering a mantra and we'll be mentally offering the flower, seeking the blessings of the divine and offering our prayers if any. So to fulfill our prayers and seek the blessings.
Sorry, I'm not disturbing the camera.
Maybe 2, 3, 4 flowers you can take and distribute among yourselves.
Yeah.
Done? Can you repeat after me? Om Aim Esha Sachandana Pushpanjali Sangaya Savarnaya Sashaktikaya Saparshadaya Sarvadeva Devi Swarupaya Shri Ramakrishnaya Vaushata. Repeat. Om Aim Esha Sachandana Pushpanjali Sangaya Savarnaya Sashaktikaya Saparshadaya Sarvadeva Devi Swarupaya Shri Ramakrishnaya Vaushata. Om Aim Esha Sachandana Pushpanjali Sangaya Savarnaya Sashaktikaya Saparshadaya Sarvadeva Devi Swarupaya Shri Ramakrishnaya Vaushata. Salutation prayer now. Om Sthapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Offering your prayers mentally. seek the blessings of the divine, supreme self, and let us carry the blessedness, contented, and the grace in our hearts at every walk of our life. Let us offer our body, let us offer our mind, and every action at the lotus feet of the divine, so that every work will be spiritual practice. May every work be worship to Him. There is a fan, charmer.
Number one.
In one. In one and in three.
coming to this program. And kindly keep visiting our website to know all the programs updates. Every Monday we generally update our programs so that you will be knowing, and whenever is possible you can join us for different type of programs.